But I did just ultimately come to the realization that the way that I did that was not exactly entirely proper. So when I was there, I bought this, just because I didn't want to, I didn't want to have hassled the store to open the doors for me, outside the electronics section without making a purchase. But, ultimately to prove my point, I needed to go one step further, with timestamps to really drive in, the nail to the coffin. And so, you know, there's the receipt for it at 7 a.m., but I need to ultimately prove what it is that I bought. So let me, rewards card, balance, number of items sold, 1, rewards card, that's not what I'm trying to, oh right, so it's at the memory card, PC memory card right there. See, that's what it says, the $39.99. And then, I got fuel points for it from the company, which is about 80 fuel points that was added to the whole transaction. But as you can see, this was literally, dated as far as a purchase, when I was in the store earlier at the 4th of June, at 7 a.m. And, obviously this is what I bought there. So, tell me again that MicroSD is a relic of a bygone era. I think you're full of shit. There's one more thing that I want to point out about all this that really royally pisses me off too, and just infuriates me. Ironically, Samsung, as a company is, they're well aware that, these microSD cards are getting a bit, dated in terms of like speed of transfer and everything. And, it's true, ultimately that the technology is old at this point, but that does not mean that there's any reason why it can't be, the technology can't be advanced and brought forward in, such a way that it's basically backwards compatible for the most part, but Samsung is releasing, the Express, PCI, not PCI, but it's releasing, this microSD Express, cartridges. So Samsung is going within its power to modernize this technology. But does Samsung have this in their fucking phones anymore? No. Does Google? No. Sony is the fucking only one that does anymore, and I'm disgusted. Like we were sold on this whole idea that a single device would be ultimately able to be our jukebox and music player and have all these apps in one device, and yet we have ushered in a world where if all your stuff does not fit on the storage, on the internal storage in these devices, well, you're fucked. You might as well go out and get another one. I mean, I had to do that whole thing. Like, why did I go out and buy the Onco DPX1 and everything for the external, for the DAP, as far as a digital audio player and everything. And it was like, because all of my music, I can't reasonably be expected to fit all of my apps alongside all of my music, especially when my music library is, basically largely lossless and is growing in terms of the megabytes and, that are ultimately going to be going into it and everything. And with somebody that has as eclectic of taste as I ultimately have, I mean, that can turn into 30,000, songs very quickly and very easily. And it just... It got to me. It got to the point where it didn't make sense to go with a phone as a digital audio player, because of the fact that it just didn't have enough storage, and it didn't have an ability to take it external and add a memory card to the damn thing. We were not ultimately able to consolidate down to one device as far as that was concerned, so I had to carry my phone with me and, a digital audio player on top of that, and because, they tried to make it out like, the iPhone and your smartphone's going to replace that, but it didn't really, truly, to a satisfactory manner for me with somebody with as large of a music library as I had, or was going to build ultimately, and I knew it, and so it just didn't work. It wasn't fit for form to do what it said it was going to do and deliver on its promise. It was a false promise that it never really ultimately delivered on into a satisfactory manner. And so I had to go out and buy a fucking Onco and split into that. And, this Xperia has the actual potential to help me consolidate down to a single device.